How many signs, how many wonders, how many miracles do we have to see before we believe that Yah is for us and ready to deliver us? This is Barry Phillips, a 10-minute tour of the final day of Shemot. And we're going to get as far as chapter number 4. At the beginning of this chapter, we see a disillusioned, self-doubting prophet, deliverer of Israel, who does not yet stand in the power nor the authority in which he's going to. He's full of questions. He's full of reasons why he's not capable or qualified. But Yah is adamant, you are the man. You are the deliverer. I understand Moshe's feelings. He had tried to deliver, he had tried to help, he had tried to be instrumental and was rejected, threatened, and then accused, sent running for his life. No one, it seems, has looked for him for the last 40 years. He's been available. He's out there somewhere, but he's disconnected from all the happenings in Mitzrayim or Egypt. And again, no one's really been looking for him. So why bother me now? Yah is ready to hear the cries of Israel and to send Moshe as the answer to those cries. So to help Moshe understand the validity of his being used, Yah gives him signs. The word for sign in Hebrew, ot, is an aleph, a vav, and a tav. Aleph, tav is the first and last letters of the Hebrew alphabet together, et. They are used in the Hebrew language as a direct object indicator. When you see the aleph, tav together in a Hebrew sentence, what follows is the direct object, that which the verb is acting upon. The sages and the rabbis teach that it is also a sign of the Messiah. Not in every instance that it's used, but it can be, such as seen in Bereshit or Genesis 1:1, where the aleph tav is used twice, signifying that the heavens were created through the aleph tav, as was the earth. In the book of Colossians, we see that Rav Shaul verifies this, that through him all things were created, for him all things were created, by him all things were created, etc. So the aleph tav now separated by a vav, the symbol of a nail. Again, given a bit of an understanding, Yeshua, the aleph tav with the sign of the nail or nails put into the hands, the feet, it gives us an understanding of the sign is to point out the Messiah, the deliverer, the ultimate deliverer, of which Moshe is a type. He is then given the signs of the staff, the shepherd's staff, on which, as Mike Clayton has taught for many years, he possibly would have carved imagery and signs and significant items into to detail his life, his history, his testimony, his witness. And so as he throws it down, he's throwing down who he has been. It turns into a serpent. He recognizes the serpentine motives perhaps behind his previous life, his motivations, his thoughts. He picks it up, and it's a new man coming up in the power of Messiah. It also helps us to understand as a shepherd's staff is that which is used for discipline, for guidance, for direction, for rescue. Without the shepherd's staff, the sheep scatter. They're left to the serpentine doctrines of deception that root all the way back to Bereshit or Genesis chapter 3, questioning the validity of Yah's statement. Did he really say? Does he really mean? Also, the idea you can be Elohim. You can be like the Most High. And lastly, what he said is forbidden is actually for your benefit. He's trying to hide something from you. He picks up the serpent by the tail, pulls it back up, and the rod of authority comes into his hand to dissuade and to discredit the serpentine lies in order to lead his people Israel. A second sign is given. He puts his hand into his garment, pulls it out. It's covered in Tz'ar'at. This is not Hansen's disease or leprosy that was brought into the Middle East by Alexander the Great's armies, but rather this is a physical malady that reveals an inward impurity. The most classic sign or symptom of this results from Lashon Hara, we are taught, such as in the case of Miriam, chiding her brother Moshe and then being covered with Tz'ar'at. Evil speech, an inward impurity that divides and separates us and others from one another, results in Tz'ar'at, a covering of a skin malady. Having been diagnosed, the individual is ostracized, quarantined, and sent to the outer perimeter of the camp. As his words or her words have divided others, so now they are divided from the rest of the body until not a skin cure is found. This is not a medical issue. This is a spiritual issue. When they repent and their heart is changed, the disease will leave and they can be processed to come back into the camp. He puts his hand in his garment. It's covered with Tz'ar'at. He puts it back in and pulls it out. It's cleansed. The flesh is restored. Perhaps the people seeing the hand covered with Tz'ar'at would recognize, yeah, I know what it's like to feel cursed. I know what it's like to feel ostracized from the Most High. Where is he? Why is he not moving in our behalf? But he puts it back in and pulls it out, and the flesh is restored. The message is the deliverer, Messiah Yeshua, has not only come to rescue us from the serpentine doctrines that deceive us, but also to heal us and to deliver us. We're no longer ostracized, but we're being restored and we're being cleansed. We're being made whole again. The phrasing here in verse number 7 of chapter 4 is very similar, not exact, but very similar to what we find in Bereshit or Genesis chapter 2, where Adam says of the woman that is presented to him, she is flesh of my flesh. The phrasing very similar allows us to understand it's the bride, perhaps, that is then being restored. That Yah is doing a cleansing work on the bride so that she can be set free from the world's systems. Mighty signs. If these are not enough to convince them, Yah says, take water from the Nile, pour it on the ground, and it will become blood. The Nile was represented in Mitzrite mysticism as a male form with prominent breast or mini breast, as if to suggest that the Nile was the source of their life. While that may have been true for Mitzrayim, for the Hebrews, the Nile was a source of death. Male Hebrew children, having been born, were commanded to be thrown into the Nile. They were either drowned or consumed by crocodiles or both. And we find that this is a place of shame, destruction, death, and fear. Yah is allowing them to know, I have seen the blood of your lost sons. I have seen the attempts at genocide of my people, and I've come to rescue you. As the righteous blood of Havel or Abel that stained the ground cried out to Yah for vengeance, so now the blood of Hebrew male children that has stained the waters of the Nile are being revealed in the earth, and they are likewise crying out. Yah has heard that cry, and he is sending Moshe to be their deliverer. Would the people believe him? Many would, some didn't. It was exciting perhaps until their initial efforts at deliverance in approaching Pharaoh caused things to become harder. But Yah was convinced, adamant to his plan, knowing that Moshe is my man, whether he realizes it or not. Whether you realize it or not, you are significant to him, chosen, selected, a part of his plan. Be encouraged, my friend. Shabbat Shalom. We'll see you again next week.